Welcome to the Waiting List podcast. Tell us the story.
It's like many things you start building from scratch.
And then I'm like, wait, I really do like watches because
you've seen so many watches that makes you excited.
I think I really do like watches.
Yeah. I think it's a great way to see if you are a watch enthusiast.
Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you, Kevin and Steph, for coming along on the show. For those that don't know, Kevin and Steph work at Revolution Magazine, and they actually have their own podcast show, right? Welcome, guys.
Well, thank you very much for having us.
I've yet to go on to that podcast show. Hint, hint.
Okay.
You have, though.
Long Long has.
You guys are on the list.
But we should get you both on it.
You don't need to get Dan on. It's fine.
Okay, thanks. So you don't introduce me on the show. You tell me basically to fuck off. Yeah, nice one.
Yeah. All right, let's begin. So let's start with what is Waco like as a boss? Because he comes across as kind of like a character, right? So let's start with you, Kevin.
So with Waco, what you see through Instagram is basically, I think, how he is in real life. He's a very passionate person. Okay. And I think the way he talks about watches on Instagram, he's very, outspoken about things. It's just the way he is in real life as well. And he does have a lot of knowledge. Like the many videos you've seen him just reciting references numbers of Speedmasters, it's what he does in real life as well. Like when he needs to illustrate a point and he just like blurs out a bunch of references, it's the same thing, which is good. Like so some people are able to remember a lot of reference numbers. I'm not really one of those people. Yeah. Main ones from Patek, I'm sure I can recite, and maybe the Omega Speedmasters as well. But like Wei does know a lot.
Yeah, Wei's ridiculous. I've met him. You haven't met him, right?
No.
I've met him. And those reference numbers, I think he's like the number one person I know who can reel off reference numbers and even obscure brands. Mm-hmm. It's like a library, and he has access to that information without thinking. You don't see him thinking; he just pulls it out. Yeah.
But he does the same with movements as well. So it's not just references number of watches; it's the movements that's inside those watches.
Have you guys ever just pretended you understood which reference he was talking about, and you were just playing along, but actually you have no idea?
Yes.
I mean,
yes. And then you have to go back into the research. Wait, what's the reference number he did? Okay.
Or sometimes it's on Zoom. So like while he's talking about something, you'll be like frantically
way easier to do it on Zoom now.
And trying to figure out what he's talking about. But I think working with Wei, you definitely learn a lot because he will also throw out questions at you out of the blue, and you really have to be on top of things to be able to answer his questions.
Cool.
Before Hodinkee, Revolution was the main kind of, because there wasn't the online stuff, right? But in terms of print media, that was the one, right?
Yeah, it was. When Wei launched the magazine, he really had this vision of making watches cool, and not just something that's reserved for a niche of nerd people, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think he managed to do that very successfully. And he launched in 2005, I think. So he's celebrating 15 years this year. So yeah, like he's done a very good job.
Magazine's been going on for 15 years.
Yeah, 15 years. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, the issue obviously is that he was number one for a long time. The thing with the print media is obviously people are getting less interested in it because of the rise of digital. But I think having a print format is still very important, and it's still very dear to him.
That's really cool. All right, what about you, Steph? What do you think about Wei as a boss? Is he consistent with what Kevin said about being whatever you see on Instagram? Like that's just him.
Yeah, very much so. And I mean, he cares about a lot of issues outside of watches as well. And with, all the, like the pandemic, for example, and Black Lives Matter in the States, he's really put his opinions and his voice into watches. Like, even though it's a watch magazine, he's put those issues in as well. So, for example, because of COVID-19 and how it's affected the business, like our team is so small, but we've managed to pull together an auction.
Yeah.
So that's
charity auction.
Yeah, so that's ongoing right now, and it ends next Monday. No, June 22nd.
Or over the weekend, should be.
Yeah. So
it'll probably be over by the time someone listens to this podcast.
But anyway, like we pulled together a pretty successful auction. Yeah. We've raised $200,000 so far.
Yeah.
Wow. No, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well done, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So like he goes full speed, but like, like he's very ambitious. He goes full speed at everything, but it's towards something good, and you just learn so much from being able to work with him.
Very cool.
Does he have a badass temper? He looks like he would.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, if you look at the Instagram, like he sometimes, you know, when someone says something bad in the comments, he'll like go into it and, you know, like confront the person saying what you did is not cool, especially when it's related to race or you know, issues and stuff. Like he's not afraid to just go in and like
that's good.
Yeah,
just
good.
call out the people.
Yeah, I think there's too much beige. What I mean by that is there's so much pandering. And diplomacy in the watch industry where nobody is allowed an opinion. So it's refreshing to have an opinion.
How many years have you guys worked in the watch industry?
I started.
You worked longer than me.
Yeah, but not that long.
Okay.
I started in 2015.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I studied. I studied journalism, and when I was studying journalism, I didn't know anything about watches. Yeah. So, like, my ambition or like what I wanted to do was, you know, go into the news, like maybe like, you know, do a lot of investigative journalism, that sort of thing. But I found a job. I found a job at SEMP, sort of covering the supplements, sort of like the luxury side. Yeah. And I mean, there's so many parts. There's like beauty, there's fashion, there's F&B and everything, but a lot of it is quite frivolous.
It is like fluff.
Yeah, a lot of fluff. So because like of, I guess, like my training as a journalist and sort of like my interest in sort of investigating deeper, like researching more watches and I guess like jewelry as well, called out to me more than all the rest, because there is so much history that you can dive into. So much you can learn, like watches, and watches are so connected to our culture, to, you know, like all the different decades, design references, everything. So like once I got into luxury, my interest in watches also grew, because
I'm sure.
I mean, it's not easy to get into in the first place. So I remember 2015, I was in my first week of work, and the first assignment I got was sort of, here's the SIHH supplement, like fill in all the captions. And I remember looking at this page of Panerais where they all looked exactly the same, and I had to figure out what
references. It's a tough one to start with.
Are you saying that Panerais all look the same?
Yeah. No, to me at that time, as a person who
they still do.
Let's be honest.
They have two case designs that haven't changed since.
So I mean, it was a challenge, and I feel like some people would have hated it, would be like, I don't want to do this anymore. But for me, it was just sort of like, figuring out the different details, learning more about the brand's history, and then sort of from there on, you know, learning more about different brands and ending up here, I guess.
Very cool. What about you, Kev?
Yeah. Well, I think our path with Steph are pretty similar in the sense that I went through a lifestyle publication first, and I got exposed to obviously the luxury field, and that includes watches among other subjects. And I already had an interest in watches, which started in 2015. And when I was at the lifestyle publication, my interest was more towards watches. And then after that, I had an opportunity to work at Revolution, which means just dedicating my time full time to watches, and that's how I went into it.
So, how was the watch media industry back when you first started in 2015 compared to now?
Better.
Okay. Well, so has it changed rapidly? And what are those differences?
I mean, it's just I think when I started and I got interested into watches, there was a lot more glamour to it. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's just because also the situation is much more different and difficult for them right now because of the world situation. Then obviously, you know, they don't show off as much as they used to, either with events or big ads or anything. So that, like, you don't see them as much as before, I would say. Whereas I feel like before you would just walk around Hong Kong, it's just like omnipresent all the time. It's just like watches and all the brands that you would see. This is something that's slowly disappeared, I feel.
Do you think that also you've become desensitized to it because you've?
That's probably one aspect of it. Yeah. I think when I first got into it, I didn't know anything, and you just constantly learn and learn and learn. And so once you covered out the basics, after you're able to just pinpoint different things better in the watch industry, and then you kind of take away all the nonsense or useless stuff. I mean, honestly, I'm a bit ashamed to say this, but then when I first started getting into watches, like it was all about marketing. Like I was seduced by marketing, right? Like the first watch that I bought Steph was a Daniel Wellington. And I'm really not proud of this. I knew nothing about watches. And so I was just like, oh yeah, this is like cool design, looks good. It had like a strap.
Nice
that was like blue and red.
Who was endorsing it when you bought it?
I have no idea, but I'm really ashamed that I was able to buy that. Wow. No offense to whoever likes Daniel Wellington.
It's not. He has a stash of 15.
I do.
You ready?
Yeah, I look up to those celebrities.
Yeah, they're in the safe.
Yeah. And then so after I just went into the proper learning of the watchmaking industry and the craftsmanship and all that stuff.
I know nothing about journalism and studying journalism, right? So I'm curious, like as a journalist, when you first start off, is writing about food kind of like the entry, like gateway, like the easiest one to write about?
They teach you different mediums, right? So obviously writing is one of them, but you also, depending on what courses you take, you can learn to, for example, program a radio show. You can learn how to shoot an entire documentary.
Oh, okay.
You learn photojournalism, sort of, different techniques. And also a lot of just like concepts of, or what's the word? Principles you should have as a journalist, like,
moral principles.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and then also certain like writing techniques or the way you do research, making sure that information is correct by cross-referencing three sources, all that stuff. These are the principles of journalism that you can apply pretty much everywhere.
Do you think that's kind of like gone now? Because social media has kind of blown a lot of that away with fake news and all this kind of thing. Not many morals out there, I think.
Yeah, the morals is a big
also it's sort of become an echo chamber, right? As well, where you think it's cool, someone thinks it's cool, or one person says this, and then everyone starts saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So.
But in the end, the principle is still the same when it comes to facts. Some of them are true, some of them are false. So by finding the right references and putting them together, you're able to tell your audience or someone which one is real and which one is fake. Yeah.
I see.
So these principles are like applicable to any kind of field. So lifestyle is one of them. The thing with lifestyle is that when you write, for example, advertorials, obviously it's a different way of writing because you can kind of throw away all your principle of journalism and you just have to be nice to the brand and just, write. No, because like at the end they were like, check the copy.
It's all right. We know that.
Yeah,
it's not like it's a big secret.
Yeah, I mean, you're not.
All right. So so Kevin, you're French. Where we would say a lot of the watch brands come from, right? For someone who is French, how do you actually view luxury? Because I feel like when I'm in Europe, right, the way that people wear watches and the way they carry like branded stuff, it's very different from in Asia. So what is luxury?
As in they don't show it as much as Asia?
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Because people are scared.
Okay.
Get robbed.
Okay.
Is that it?
Well, okay, I think in some places, some people are scared to wear luxury.
For what reason?
Because there's a high chance they will get robbed. If you look Asian at the same time, that's even worse because you're just like an easy target. That happens all the time in Paris.
Oh.
Okay.
But apart from that, it's just also I feel that there's just a stigma that's like associated with showing off luxury. It's just like, oh, you're just a rich person and you're just showing off your wealth.
Okay.
Like among my group of friends, like. Some of them are wealthy, but no one is really showing off their wealth in any kind of way.
Okay.
So how do people flex then? Prefer in Europe? I'm from Europe too, but I mean, like, just want to hear your perspective on that. Because they want to flex still. Or do they not want to flex?
I don't think they want to flex. I mean, maybe it's just me and my entourage and the people I grew up with. No one is really flexing. You know,
the fanciest one.
Am I the fanciest one? Oh no. I mean, I always grew up, you know, thanks to my mom in like a nice, comfortable environment.
Yeah.
The way that maybe my friends would consider flexing is when I tell them, oh, for the summer holidays, I'm going to the US, or I'm going to Hong Kong, or I'm going to this country. Right? It's just like getting
silence.
Well, it's good because the thing is, a lot of my friends didn't really used to travel.
For them,
far,
summer
France
holidays
or
is
Europe.
like, let's go to the south of France.
Okay.
Or like my friends would like their concept of summer holidays would be, you know, just renting a car, going somewhere else and to camping. Right?
Yeah.
Or else, I guess my version was a bit fancier.
No, I kind of agree with that. In England, I think more emphasis is placed on experiences and knowledge acquisition through experiences rather than material goods.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Steph? Because you grew up in Hong Kong. And Hong Kong, like, everyone's wearing a Rolex, right?
Yeah.
So what is luxury? Like, how do you view it? And how is it different? Okay, for example, like, this is what I have observed with moving to Hong Kong from Singapore, right? I realized Hong Kong and Singapore, people put a lot of the wealth externally, like cars and watches and everything, probably because the house is very small. You're not going to invite people over, right? So, but then with Hong Kong, the very distinct thing for me is just seeing watches. Like, everybody has a watch. Everybody. Yeah. So for you growing up in Hong Kong, were you kind of wired to just think, all right, I just got to get a watch because that's like part of like growing up, like that's part of life?
I guess growing up, sort of seeing my parents' collection, they're not real collectors. I feel like my dad's way of collecting, like buying watches, is just very much his collection, as Kevin says, is a very like
Chinese collection.
It's
With a lot of gold. Yes, that's right, exactly.
All gold Rolex day dates, or like Omega constellations.
That's
gold.
cool though.
Cartier Pashas, things like that.
Yeah.
So for I guess like
I mean, I was talking to this topic about to our mutual friend yesterday.
Yeah.
And he was saying, just don't think that somebody wears a watch out here in Hong Kong that they're rich, by the way. It's different from Shanghai.
Right.
Because in Shanghai, he said, and I was listening to this valid point. I still have yet to dissect it. But he's saying in Shanghai, people have the homes, then they have the cash, and they think, oh, now I can just spend my extra money on buy a watch, right? Here in Hong Kong, they don't have the house. They can't afford the house. They think, I'll buy a watch, a few other watches, and you know, when it maybe in the future, if I ever get on that position to have a house, maybe I'll sell them and it'll still like retain value. And then he was saying that he just came from the jockey club, right? And the waiter that served him was wearing the Daytona. Daytona. And
He
was like, what the hell? And I was like, dude, it's probably fake. And he goes, no, because I spoke to him. And he goes, I bought it above retail. And he's got like 3 of them.
Really?
Yeah, and then everybody else is coming up to me in Hong Kong saying, have you seen the Uber drivers? I don't think that they can afford to buy a property in Hong Kong, but they're all wearing like Rolexes and stuff. Offshores and stuff like this. So different kind of mindset, which goes back to what Long said. Like, in Shanghai, it's still big enough where you would invite people to your home.
Yeah.
And like Europeans, like Americans, you can then show off to who you select to your wealth, right? Or your taste or your class, right? But in Hong Kong, you're never going to invite anybody. So anything that you want to say about yourself has to be on you, which probably like says a lot about like the sneaker culture here and the watch culture.
Oh, right.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. What do you guys think of watch brands using brand ambassadors?
Well, the thing is, I would actually be interested to see how brand ambassadors, like how much conversion there is for a customer when they see a brand ambassador. It's like, that's perfect, I'm going to buy the watch that he's wearing.
It worked for you, right? Daniel Wellington.
It worked. It did work. I don't think it was for the ambassador.
Do you know who it is now?
Huh?
Do you know who? Yeah, do you know who it's now? The ambassador for Daniel Wellington.
It's was
Odell.
the
Odell
NFL
Beckham.
player who wears RM all the time.
Sapphire RM.
Yeah, Odell Beckham. And
Odell Beckham Jr.
Who's the girl?
The girl is Hailey Bieber.
Oh,
my God,
Justin
yeah.
Bieber is
we just did free
yeah.
marketing for Daniel Wellington there.
But now they just have too much money now. They're like, whatever, I'll just get whoever I need on my brand. But the guy is seen everywhere else just wearing his RM.
Yeah. Did you see I think you guys wrote about it. Someone wrote about, you know how the marketing was done, right? It was basically planned
like
months
the press
ahead.
conference?
No, how he was caught wearing a fake one.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yes,
that
was
was
a fake one,
genius.
yes.
Yeah.
I think ambassadors work in some countries better than others. I think in Hong Kong, at least to my understanding, like Hong Kong uses quite a lot of influencers, as well as like celebrity ambassadors. But I feel, or at least like me and my circle of friends, like if the person is only wearing a watch and you know they know nothing of the brand, it doesn't work for me. Like if they're just posting a photo on Instagram wearing a watch, but like all the rest of their photos don't show them wearing a watch, I'm not going to be convinced enough to buy into that brand.
I think nowadays people are able to see which ambassador is like a real or you know just fake and just took the money from the brand.
But there are some celebrity ambassadors who do a better job than others in the sense that even if they weren't, you know, a collector to begin with, they show quite a lot of interest in what the brand's doing, and you can see it from, I guess, like when we interview them, from the way they answer questions or from the experiences they tell us that they've done with the brands. You feel that they have a genuine interest in that brand more than some other people.
That must be really hard for you guys, man, when you come to interview them and you just know that they're just churning out standard standard questions, right? And you're just filling your standard protocol answer, right?
So how do you guys think that they should target millennials? Like, what's the right way to do it? Like,
the thing is that we're not even millennials at this point, so we're not even in the right category.
You don't have to be, but what would you think?
Let me see.
Do you think they should use more, like even more ambassadors even? Because right now, on Instagram, you see a lot of rappers, right? Like they're cropping the photo and they're saying this rapper's wearing this and that.
So,
But then on the actual ads, you're not seeing these. Actually, you're not seeing black people, right? Or you see Odell, right? So what do you think?
So what are you saying? Use more black people?
No, I'm saying
black people
use stuff. Maybe use people who are more relevant. Because everyone...
relevant to millennial culture.
Yeah, whether or not you listen to rap, most people know who Jay-Z is and who Kanye West is. They're probably really expensive, but probably use more people, right?
Like make smarter choices about who you're choosing to represent your brand, I guess.
Well, the brand's always concerned about their like image with those sort of like, if you picked a Jay-Z or a rapper, they're very concerned about that. The damage to their brand. If they use such
but that's the thing. So in my opinion, I think ambassadors should not, like, there shouldn't be any ambassadors anymore. I think brands should target people that are wearing their watches without them having a connection first, and then they just reach out and just partner with them in some way that feels organic.
Right?
Sort of like friends of the brand, because they were buying into the brand.
So less official. Kind of thing.
I think once you put an official branding on it, it kind of removes a bit of the I don't know.
Because they're just paid to do it.
It just makes it too corporate.
Once
there's like a bit of money
commercial.
involved. If some celebrities are willing to work with certain brands because just they love the brands and the products, I feel this is more organic and they're able to transmit the message better, I feel.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that.
This is random, but do you think Kevin Hart works with any of the brands?
No,
right?
Don't think he does.
So I don't think so too. But then how he has so many nice like APs, RMs, Paddocks, right? That I'm he's one of those people. He already has a collection, and then when the brand goes to him and says, "Hey, do you want to work together?" At least I'll believe it because he's had it for so long. He's never advertised it.
I think maybe also once you sign a contract with a brand, you can't be seen wearing anything else.
Yeah, you kind of lose your freedom and your liberty as well at the same time as a collector.
So, for example, like Kevin Hart, like we trust his opinion because it's his own collection.
Yeah.
But say, for example, once he partners with Richard Mille, and all you see is Richard Mille, then you start losing like like I don't trust his opinion anymore.
Yeah,
you know?
I totally agree. Yeah.
Do you think watch brands will actually stop using brand ambassadors? Are we having this conversation? Is it actually not even going to happen?
Well, the thing is that you know how the Swiss watchmaking industry is very slow to evolve.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to get rid of ambassadors immediately. Eventually, maybe they will have to realize that it's
But
not
also,
something that's working.
like, what do you guys think of using brand ambassadors in China? Because from what I hear from brands, it's very successful. Like, you show
really
a
depends.
celebrity wearing something, it sells out.
Really depends. Like, sometimes you can use a brand ambassador and the conversion will be 0. Like, I've spoke to a few brands and it has been like that. Likewise, it depends on the product, your price of your product. Like, let's say, do you know Dili Raba?
Yeah, Deal Raba, whatever. She's like Mikimoto and something.
Yeah. She's the brand ambassador for Mikimoto, right?
Girl with super big eyes.
Yeah. She is also she just said Mikimoto, but she's also the brand for like, I don't know,
a few other things.
Water and chewing gum.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But
so then the main thing that you think, okay, that's a bit weird, but for like fast consumer goods, if you go to you're going to buy something, right? And if you see a face like that, you might actually go there and gravitate and pick that up. But posting on Weibo, where most of the people on Weibo don't have very low spending power, poor conversion, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
okay.
And also, I think it's a risk as well in China, because if any, like Fan Bingbing, right? She obviously got that scandal a couple of years ago, right? Yeah, evaded.
Oh, the
speculated,
tax fraud, right?
Yeah.
that she might have evaded tax. I don't know, but as soon as she got caught, then anything that you had any related with brand, immediately gets pulled, right?
Yeah.
So all that investment gone. I think that the probably millennial generation are affected by these people, but anyone older, and most people that buy watches tend to be a little bit older, probably not so impacted by who buys these things. And if you pick a millennial person for your brand, people like us think, what are you doing? Just turns us off. I know people that have seen celebs go on and just like get so annoyed and just sold their watches.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're like, how can you give these watches free to this ambassador? I don't even like this ambassador, and you gave the watches for free, and you pay the guy. I paid for mine, or VIPs,
Right.
and get rid of my watches. So
Damn.
hit and miss, I would say. Have to be very careful. But if I was a brand, I probably wouldn't use them. One thing they can do is exposure, but I really doubt the conversion's high. Yeah.
All right. Let's let me just retrack. I want to understand something else. With your line of work, right? How many months ahead of the new releases do you guys get exposed to the watch? Do you see the watch? And do you start to write about these watches?
So it really depends on the cases. For this year, this year is also a bit different because of COVID-19 and all that stuff. But usually what you have some brands who are kind of doing a roadshow around the world. So they will hit several countries with the unreleased product.
Okay.
So you get to see it, you get to take your pictures in advance. You get the material, you sign your NDA saying that you can't release any information for this watch until the proper launch date. So in that aspect, it helps us do our job better because we get time to do the story properly, edit the pictures. Sometimes you get the news a few hours before it gets released. Sometimes you get it a few days. It really depends on the brands and which product they're launching.
So let's talk about that Patek that's just come out. The Patek 6007A.
Yeah.
The stainless steel, Calatrava, blue dial, has this kind of engine
to
turn
celebrate
sensor.
the opening of the
Yes.
new manufacturer.
That one.
Saw
So
it,
when
yes.
did you get the info on that?
We got it yesterday when Wei saw it yesterday and shot a photo of it.
Yeah.
We had
I
no
think he
prior.
made a video, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, because I couldn't
saw
see
it.
that it was Wei, but I watched the video and I was listening to the voice. I was like, isn't that him? Yeah.
So
Because-
they got the
we-
watch in Singapore and
Yeah.
they were allowed, like they brought it to the Singapore office to do some photo shooting and stuff.
Because for Singapore time, the official launch day was 2 p.m. Singapore time.
Oh, right.
The Patek team showed up at 2 p.m. on the dot at the office.
Wow.
Yeah,
So you get to like see the
That's
order.
when we found
So do you think that was a last minute decision by Patek? Or relatively... I'm not sure they do those kind of knee-jerk reactions. But
Yeah, no,
I
I
thought
don't
that
think
this year
either.
nothing was getting released.
Well, this is what they said at the beginning, is that they canceled all of their releases, and I'm guessing maybe they had internal discussions. So it's like, we're really not doing a lot, like just sitting around. Maybe we'll just give them a few.
Yeah.
Or but the thing is that this one is a bit special as well because it's to celebrate the opening of their manufacturer. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing they just wanted maybe to remind people that, we have a new facility, we've done all this work, putting all the right people under the same roof to produce the next collection of watches for the future. I just want to remind you guys, and here's a watch, like 1,000 pieces.
How do you think that watch will do?
It's a stainless steel Patek with a blue dial,
1,000 pieces.
Yeah.
and then a limited edition. It's gonna do very well.
Yeah.
You know that.
So what trends have you guys seen recently in terms of different watch brands and what they're releasing? Is it just steel sports watches?
Integrated bracelets.
Okay, integrated bracelets.
Yeah, integrated
A lot of
bracelets.
them. I mean, vintage is still strong because in a way it's the safest bet you can take.
Yeah.
You can never really go wrong if you go back into your archives, pull out a piece and say we're doing a modern
Reissue.
interpretation or reissue
Yeah.
of something.
Reissue is quite popular. Yeah.
So I guess when business is not that great and sort of the economy is not that stable, that's the safest option you can do. So we've been seeing a lot of pieces like that.
All right. And what is your take on Baselworld and Watches and Wonders? With everything happening and everything stopping, where do you think it will go from here?
I think it's still very important to have these fairs. They just need a different format, maybe not a different format. Sorry, like a different way to show the watches.
Yeah.
I think what this year has taught us is that, it's fine to not have these fairs. Like products are still coming out.
Yeah.
Your journalists will still write about these watches. Collectors are still going to come buy the watches.
Yeah.
But I feel like what is lost is sort of just the networking, the connections you make when everyone is in the same room, everyone's mingling, everyone's chatting, giving different opinions. A lot of watchmakers also there, they want to see journalists' first reaction to a piece.
Okay.
Get their opinions, because a lot of times you're only seeing maybe a prototype or something that's not launched yet. So they still have a little time to make minor adjustments, things like that. Also, if you're at Baselworld and you're at the independence corner, there's so much creativity going on there.
Yeah.
I feel like people just, in general, you get so much more inspired by seeing what other people are doing, comparing what people are doing with your own product, and just chatting, getting a drink at, the Three Kings or whatever after. So all of that is lost when everything's done digitally. So I think that aspect is still very important, and I think the fairs will still be here next.
Which one did you personally like more?
Okay. Can I reply this?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say I prefer SIHH because it's the only fair that I've been to. I've actually never been to Baselworld, and I realized that now I'll never be able to. But it's fine because SIHH is quite nice. They treat you very nice.
We should talk to Basel and just ask them to make one just for you, Kevin.
Just for me.
Yeah, because you never made
special
it.
edition.
Everybody that missed out.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I think people would make that pilgrimage.
So basically, people who have been before aren't allowed to go. It's only for first timers.
It's only newbies.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, your name has never
Baselworld
been
virgins.
never been in our database before
It's
you
a
can
very
come
different experience, I feel, SIHH or Watches and Wonders, because it's headed by FHH, and there's, it's largely Richemont based brands. It does kind of, or as a journalist, it feels very much like you're going to classes.
Okay.
Starting from 9 a.m. in the morning, you're in one presentation, and then you go to like a discussion with the watchmaker, and then the next session. So it's a full day of presentations mixed with, but you don't get to set your own schedule.
Yeah.
So you have to go to all.
Yeah,
these
it's organized by
different-
country, by markets.
Whereas Basel, you get them I mean, you're still doing pretty much the same thing. You're going to presentations, you're meeting people, but you do it at your own time, and like you get to schedule your own stuff. So, for example, if I want to see all the independents first, I can do that before I move on to other brands. Or if I want to spend more time talking to this one brand, I can do that. And you know, so there's more freedom at Basel, and also I just think the fact that Basel is in March, April,
well,
the weather is
now,
the weather is was much better than Watches and Wonders.
Oh, because Watches and Wonders was in January, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the cold is nice as well. You know,
No.
January in Geneva.
Not
Well, you're the one who was telling me you like.
It's so gray and cold.
You're the one who
and
always tell me you like cold weather.
So you guys
Just
obviously
like-
see a lot of watches, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys feel numb sometimes? Is it really hard for you guys to see a piece now and be like, whoa, this is special?
I think once you start working in the industry for a bit, you do.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it depends also on your personal preferences, right? Some people are just, they will always love just simple, clean, time only watches, clean dials.
Yeah.
Some people are just like obsessed with
Bling.
grand complications. Right?
Also, you like your bling, right?
Or bling. No, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. The diamond watches. I have no shame in saying that. I love diamond watches. So I think it's true. The most recent watches that have wowed me have all been diamond
Okay,
watches.
so what were the latest watches that actually really, got you?
So, okay, for me, and because they're all just diamond watches. So the most recent Royal Oaks.
I saw you post that on Instagram. I
Like
was
full
laughing.
diamond.
Yeah.
It's amazing. There's one in 37 millimeter.
Yeah.
It just fits my tiny Asian wrist perfectly. We've seen the 15502, which is the 15500 with the diamonds. This is just awesome. The other one that totally took me by surprise when I just walked into a boutique was the Breguet. There was a Breguet classic tourbillon limited edition for Hong Kong and Macau, and it had like baguette diamonds on the bezel, and just the right amount of like craftsmanship with the guilloche and the tourbillon from Breguet, and just the right amount of bling or like the case and the way it was set on it. It just took me by surprise. I was like, damn, that's cool. And I was like, oh my god, I would totally wear this. I would totally rock this.
Basically,
So that's the thing. Like sometimes
Did it fit your tiny wrist?
Yeah, it did. It did fit my tiny wrist. It was 40 millimeter case. Perfect. And also sometimes you just have watches that just randomly pops up. They appear in front of you. Oh my god, I've never thought that I would like this thing, and suddenly you're like.
Basically, when you and Steph walk into a boutique, you go to the female section. She goes to
the male section. Yeah, we switch roles. Yeah. I mean, the more common watches that you tend to see often, those are the ones that are harder to get excited about.
Okay.
I mean, like we've seen the Ip Kevin 15500 that just came out with a silver dial. Like it's pretty much the same watch with a dial that is usually not my favorite kind. Also, I prefer darker dials, either black or blue and stuff. So for me, it didn't do anything, right? Yeah. But I'm sure for other people, for some of the people who like this kind of dials, it would excite them in some way. So it all comes down to personal preferences, and yeah, I mean that's what watches are about, actually.
Yeah. What about you, Steph? Anything that that you see that you go, whoa, it's very special, or have you just become numb to it too?
I feel like we see so many watches, and we write about so many watches that at some point for me, like you're asking me now, like what watch I've seen this year that has really excited me. Yeah. I can't really think of one. Yeah. Not because there weren't any, but it's just because like there has been so many that I just.
Yeah, what you're saying is not the watch's problem; it's your problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Saved you there.
But I mean, also in the industry, like you guys both know that most of the creativity now happens with the independents.
Yeah.
When you look at the normal brands, the designs, they usually play it safe by keeping the same designs that they've had for maybe the past 70 years or whatever.
So one thing that I found very exciting this year, at least, was the collaboration that MBNF and Moser did.
Yeah.
Because that was something different, right? So it kind of stands out from everything else that you.
And it did very well for itself.
What do you think about these collabs between independents? because sneaker culture has been doing it for a while, you know.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
cigars.
MBNF has been doing it for a long time
MBNF,
too.
that's their kind of the business thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But do you see that as a good thing? Do you think more independents should be doing that? Like how Urwerk and Debbie Thune, they did one, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think collab is the way to go.
Yeah.
But the thing is that independents, because they're much younger in terms of brands and also mentality, I think it's like they accept to work with other brands, right? Like, do you ever see a collaboration of Rolex and Patek happening one day?
Yeah.
Man, you know that if there was a Rolex Patek collaboration limited, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know if that was a one-off. Damn, I'd get it. I don't care how ugly the watch is. I'm going
Yeah.
straight
But
in.
people might not be forgiving because they might be like, "What are you doing?"
Do you guys
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah.
I don't remember which year, but Moser did a watch where they took all the elements of
Yes.
different brands and like put together this.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was very controversial.
Yeah.
Was it a good looking watch though?
No.
They had a Royal Oak case,
Yeah.
Oh.
and then it had a Pepsi
Panera-
dial,
like a
a
Panera
Pepsi
crown.
bezel, and then it
There was
had
a Fumé Moser dial
Yeah.
with the AP pattern on it, tapisserie.
and there was a Rolex bracelet.
Oh, was it
bracelet as well? It was a bracelet watch. Yeah, but they had to take it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Because,
They
brands
Annoyed
get pissed.
people.
Oh.
Yeah, but I think collabs for independence is a good thing, but it can't be
Yeah.
overdone. Once it's overdone, it's like, again, go back to sneakers. It's like, oh well, you just lose track of how many collabs there are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then for what you said about strong brands, it actually dilutes the brand
Yeah, it
equity.
dilutes them. I think with independence, it's never a bad thing, right? It's synergy. You put two great minds together. You're obviously going to create something amazing, right?
Yeah.
But I think if I had a lot of Pateks and Rolexes,
Yeah,
and they did a collab, I'll be like, "What are you doing?"
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
What would be interesting, I think, for the watch industry is getting designers from outside of the watch industry
Yeah.
to just come and design a few watches
do
for
that.
them.
Totally
sometimes.
agree. Yeah, totally agree.
Do you have an
So,
example?
so JLC with their Atmos clock.
Okay,
they
yeah,
get
like
in
Mark
Mark
Newson.
Newson
Yeah, okay,
to
so
come in and
that's
design.
that's a good example.
But also, like the independents, right? They have very clear DNA. So with Debbie Thune, you have the articulating lugs.
Yes.
With the Aeroworks, you have a very distinctive
The-
design
yeah,
language.
the
MBNF
Sensodyne,
has a very distinctive language. So when you
Yeah.
put those together, it's still unique, right? Because they all have their thing. But
Right.
if you talk about the large you know, come on. I mean, everyone's got a time-only watch in their portfolio. Everyone's got a chronograph. They don't have the watches like indies. So when you cross over, what exactly are you crossing over, right? Because a lot of those brands' DNA is not necessarily in the product; it's in the marketing story.
Right.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Let's wrap it up by, I want to know, well, Steph kind of answered this already. So, special watches that have been released that have like wowed you. So you said Moser MBF. What about you? Past few years.
Past few years?
Yeah. A watch that has caught your eye. It can be the AP diamond.
Can it be like the ceramic perpetual calendar AP?
Yeah, of course.
What,
yeah.
the open worked one or none?
Not the non-open worked,
Nice.
because I like
Yeah.
the tapisserie dial
Yeah.
of AP, and it's part of their iconic
DNA.
design, and I want to have that on the dial.
Very cool. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you
having
for
us.
coming
This
on.
was really fun.
Yeah, we'll see you again next time.
See you. Bye.
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 Thank you for tuning in to the Waiting List podcast. Hit the subscribe button, and the next episode will come straight to your phone as soon as it's ready. Whilst I'm here, please remember to leave a nice review and follow us on Instagram at the Waiting List podcast.